The Krell war party moved through the crimson forests of Taraxis 7 with practiced silence. 23 warriors, each standing nearly 3 meters tall with chitinous armor and plasma rifles that could burn through reinforced steel. They had tracked the human survey team for 6 planetary rotations, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Commander Zekthor clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as they approached the human encampment. Intelligence had reported only 5 humans, soft, weak creatures barely worth the effort. But the bounty on human prisoners was substantial, and the Krell Confederacy wanted to send a message to the expanding Terran colonies. Through his thermal scope, Zekthor observed the camp. 4 humans slept in their environmental tents. One sat by a dying campfire absorbed in a datapad, and there, near the perimeter, lay the creature. The intelligence briefing had mentioned it. A dog, they called it. Some kind of companion animal the humans kept for inexplicable reasons. It appeared to be sleeping. A brown and black furred quadruped roughly half a meter tall curled near one of the tents. Harmless. Zekthor had fought across 17 worlds. He'd seen combat beasts, the Vraxian war lizards, the Pelthon razor cats, creatures bred and engineered for violence. This small sleeping animal didn't even register as a threat. He signaled his squad to advance. The Krell moved like shadows, weapons raised, surrounding the camp in a tactical formation perfected over centuries of warfare. Zekthor allowed himself a moment of anticipation. In 30 seconds, this would be over. The humans would be secured, and he would be one step closer to his promotion. Then the dog raised its head. In the firelight, Zekthor saw its eyes open, not with the lazy confusion of a woken animal, but with immediate, crystalline awareness. The creature stood, and something ancient flickered in Zekthor's genetic memory, a primal warning that his species had long since evolved past, or so he thought. The dog didn't bark. It didn't growl. It simply launched itself at the nearest Krell warrior with a velocity that defied its size. Warrior Kresh died first. The dog's jaws clamped onto his throat with crushing force, tearing through the weak points in his exoskeleton that evolution had placed beneath the mandibles. Kresh's scream activated his squad's combat reflexes, but the dog was already moving. What happened next would puzzle Krell military analysts for years. The creature moved like liquid violence, like physics had decided to take sides. It was under plasma fire between warriors, a blur of fur and fangs that seemed to predict their movements before they made them. Warrior Thex swung his plasma rifle like a club. The dog ducked, leaped, and Thex's mandibles were gone, his screech cutting through the night. Zekthor fired his weapon. The plasma bolt singed fur. The dog had moved before his neural pathways had even completed the firing command. It crashed into his thorax, 70 pounds of coiled muscle and evolutionary perfection driving him backward. The humans were awake now. The one by the fire was shouting something, a name. Rex, hold! But Rex wasn't holding. Rex was doing what 40,000 years of selective breeding had engineered him to do: protect his pack. The Krell tried to fall back, but the dog was everywhere. It moved between them like a nightmare-given form, targeting weak points with surgical precision. Joints, throats, eyes. Every bite, every lunge was economical, efficient, devastatingly effective. Zekthor watched half his squad fall in less than 2 minutes. Warriors who had survived the siege of Kelthera, who had fought in the void of space brought down by an animal that barely reached their knees. The remaining Krell broke formation and ran. It was the first time in Zekthor's career that he'd seen his kind retreat from a numerically inferior force. They scattered into the forest, and the dog pursued with relentless determination. Zekthor himself made it 40 meters before he heard the padding of paws behind him. He turned, raising his weapon, and saw the creature standing there backlit by the camp's emergency lights. Blood matted its fur. Its teeth were bared. But what froze Zekthor's ichor in his veins were its eyes, intelligent, measuring, and utterly without mercy. Rex, come! The human's voice carried through the trees. The dog held Zekthor's gaze for another heartbeat, then turned and trotted back toward camp, as if the slaughter of an elite Krell war party was simply an evening's work. Zekthor ran until his lungs burned, until the twin suns began to rise over Taraxis 7. He was the only survivor. 3 weeks later, the Krell Confederacy received his report. The High Council read it in stunned silence. An elite strike force, decimated by a single human companion animal. The military analysts demanded clarification. Surely there was some mistake. some exaggeration brought on by combat stress, but the camp's security footage seized from the wreckage told the truth. The Krell watched in horrified fascination as the creature defended its humans, with a ferocity that seemed to transcend simple animal instinct. One counselor asked the question that would reshape the Krell's understanding of humanity. If this is what they keep as a pet, what are they capable of when threatened? The answer came months later when the Krell Confederacy made the mistake of attacking a Terran colony world. They learned at catastrophic cost that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, their numbers, or their tactical brilliance. It was their capacity to inspire loyalty in creatures that had every reason to remain wild, to turn predators into protectors, to forge bonds of devotion that transcended species and reason. The Krell signed the Non-Aggression Pact shortly after. In the treaty's footnotes, barely noticed by most, was a single clause that military historians would later recognize as unprecedented. Terran companion animals are to be classified as Class 7 defensive assets and are not to be engaged under any circumstances. Rex, for his part, returned to his usual duties, sleeping in the sun, begging for scraps at dinner, and guarding his humans through the long alien nights. He was, after all, a very good boy,